Do we have to? Do we have to do this video? I don't want to do this video. Do you want to do this video? You don't even want to watch this video. I don't want to say it. You don't want to watch it. What's going on? Iliman Ndiaye. Iliman Ndiaye. People will say, no player's bigger than the club. We keep on going. We'll still keep turning up. And that's true. It does feel like Iliman Ndiaye is the best player I've ever seen to leave Sheffield United. And I remember Dean and Fjortoff and walking back from school and hearing about that and thinking, well, it's never going to be as bad as this. This feels a lot worse because we're right at the start of the season and it feels like a lot of hopes have been dashed. I am hugely dismayed at this. And the thing that I think makes it harder is I don't like conjecture and rumor. And we were getting a lot of like, will he, won't he, will he, won't he? He's going, he's staying, he's going, he's staying. And now it's confirmed. Iliman Ndiaye is, and if you're thinking, oh, this still might be a chance he's staying, he is definitely leaving Sheffield United. Iliman Ndiaye is gone. So this is sad. We wish him the very best in his career. He's not going to a rival club. And breathe. Let's bring in Nick for some thoughts. Iliman Ndiaye leaving Sheffield United. Before we go into the details, because we do have some to share with you, how are you feeling?
Devastated. I've had so many messages saying, is this it? Is this it? And like you said, I just want you to wake me up. I just want you to wake me up because this, like you say, it's so close to the start of the season. We're going to have to bring in reinforcements and quick, aren't we? But
yeah,
like you say, one of the best players, probably the best player I've ever seen at Bramall Lane, sheer talent, dribbling with the ball, composure in front of goal. What a player. And even in that last game against Derby County, he was just having them on toast. And after watching the Rotherham game, it looked like he was completely off it, not coming back at all from that. And then we saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Derby, he looked back at it. It was fantastic, scored a goal. And I'm thinking, this is it. He's going to sign a new contract or at least see out his contract. And then we get this news today.
Incredible contract was offered to Iliman Ndiaye. And this is one where it had been one of the highest paid players in Sheffield United's history. It would have had 2 release clauses in it. You can obviously imagine one if we were relegated back to the Championship. And interestingly as well, with percentages of those clauses going to Illy. So financial package would have been incredible. And with him being given the number 10 shirt as well. I mean, that doesn't really matter. It's just by the by. But, if it's coveted by the player, and it clearly was, then it ruins the song. But now we're not going to have the song anyway. So let's just take a little breath there. Nick's going to bring up some of your comments on screen as we go through as well. I've just decided.
Well, I was going to do that. And then I saw the first few and I'm like, I can't bring myself to doing it. But I will do it. I'll be professional and bring them all on screen. He's going for the money, sadly. That's not the case, Hal, is it?
No, so it sounds like Illy agreed to the contract that was offered by Sheffield United and then changed his mind. It appears, because we heard that, didn't we? That was the rounds on the rumour mill that he was staying. Right, oh yeah, we all celebrated. It appears all those involved at the top of the club talked to Illy, but he changed his mind. He wanted to go. And it sounds like it's heart over head, as the old expression goes. It might not actually be fitting here because it's heart, isn't it? It's heart over money. Because who knows? I don't know what he's been offered by Marseille, and I don't know what he would have been offered by Sheffield United, but we know it would have been, in terms of what the current kind of wages, whatever they are, it'd have been a really, really good offer in line with what we currently offer players. And you have to imagine then that would have been whatever he was on before, a lot more. So a kind of package that would have changed his life. And yet Marseille, because that's the club he supported as a boy, and we support Sheffield United and we have since boys. And I'm tempted almost to say, I can get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Can you get it?
Yeah.
That's the reason. That's the reason.
Yeah, I think the thing is, he's going to his boyhood club. We would want to do the same if roles were reversed. They're in the Champions League. I think if they weren't in the Champions League, I don't think Illy would have even thought about it for a second.
I don't think that's the case. I think he'd have gone to Marseille no matter what, because it sounds to me
at
like
some point in his career, but I don't think he
would
would
have gone
now.
now. I think if they had the muscle, the financial muscle, which some have said they haven't, they clearly have. They've brought in quite a lot of players. And that's probably, maybe you're saying it because they've had that Champions League money, they've been able to do that now. So that's
No. I don't think money's got anything to do with it with Iliman. I think that football is what he's going for, and he wants to play for Marseille. And I think a lot of fans have said in the past, well, go at the end of your career. Like, you're going to be playing Premier League football. You're going to put yourself in the Premier League window, because I've got no doubt in my mind that next season, or the season coming up, Iliman plays out of his skin. He gets better and better every year. Last season, he was a joke. So good in the Championship. He will absolutely step up to the Premier League, put himself in the window. I think he would have had clubs falling over themselves for him. I don't quite think he fits the Man City model, but anybody other than Man City, I think, would be falling over themselves for him, to be perfectly honest. He's that good. And I think the fact that they're in the Champions League as well, so it's his boyhood club, and they're going to be playing Champions League football next season. Clearly, we're not going to be playing Champions League football for a while, you wouldn't think, if ever. But he will be playing Champions League football in his career. He should know that. He's going to be playing World Cups after World Cups after World Cups. He's going to be playing Champions League football with a team. I can see it. I can see why he's gone. But at the same time, I feel like if he'd had one good season with us, shown a little, I don't want to say that he's not shown us loyalty, because he's got us promoted to the Premier League. But at the same time, we gave him that opportunity to play Premier League football. Another side would have given him that, I'm sure of it. But I've seen so many stories of players who are like the best player in their sort of youth setup and then just not making it. So if a couple of things would have happened, he may have not got that sort of debut into football that Slav gave him. So I don't know, mate. I don't know. I think that I can see why he's gone, but at the same time, I don't think it's the right decision for his career.
Well, that will remain to be seen, because the Premier League would have been
that's just a prediction.
Yeah, it would have been an amazing window, but it sounds to me like it doesn't matter. If Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich had all come calling, Illy would have just only answered the phone to Marseille. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, he wants to leave. That is exactly the point. He wanted to leave. Illy isn't the kind of player that would have down tools. He's always going to give you everything, but he wanted to leave. The club did everything apparently they could, from Paul Heckingbottom, Stuart McCall, Jack Lester, Prince Abdullah, Stephen Pettis, to keep him with what they can. What else can you do as a club? It's a business. So you offer them money. You offer them more money. You offer, what else do you want? You want the 10? You can have the 10. What else do you want? You want that? You can have that. Whatever it is, we'll do it to try and keep you. And it sounds like they did that. You know, Iliman was invited to Los Angeles by Prince Abdullah, who offered to pick him up personally from the airport, put him up in his own home with his family, not to force him, just to speak to him, to hear his side and see where Illy was coming from. Just a chance to speak face to face, but that didn't happen, as it looked like Iliman's mind was already made up and the heart had made its decision. So no season in the Premier League with the Blades, but a chance to represent the club that Iliman has supported since he was a child. And the fee, because people are cross with the fee, is over the one being reported. So if you've seen a fee of around, what's the fee that's people, I think that we've seen tweeted, is like 14 point something.
14 point something million. Yeah, it's definitely above where it's I wouldn't say way and above, I don't know, but we've been told it's above.
It's more than that. And Sheffield United have a 20% sell-on and matching rights. Nick has made it very clear he would like to explain matching rights.
I knew you were going to do that. Hal didn't even know what it is, and he was Googling it. So go on, Hal. You read from your script, please, mate.
A buyer's right under the purchase agreement to make a revised offer for Target's equity when Target is faced with a competing bid. No further questions. I think we'll all agree that makes perfect sense. I've never actually heard that before in football, but you know, it's apparently a thing. So Iliman Ndiaye going to Marseille, it's not one that we ever wanted to have to report on. There's nothing I would have liked more than to do a video on the fact that he was staying, the fact that we would go into the Premier League with our most creative outlet. Nick, when it comes to replacements, we have to just hope. We do know that there will be some players coming in.
Yes, we
and
do.
Is that as much as you can say?
Multiple, I would say, multiple players coming in different positions. I will say, there's never going to be a Iliman replacement. I don't think, in my opinion, not position wise. I mean, we may bring in players of a similar position to Iliman, not ability, because we know how irreplaceable he is, but we do have to replace him, and we will do in many other positions. And I alluded to this before, that I think it's not always the end of the world when you sell a player of his stature, because then I think sometimes we look for Iliman to do something, and when Iliman's not on it, I think a lot of players are looking, thinking, if he's not on it, how am I going to be on it? So I think Iliman going may kind of, we may be able to replace in different areas and make it into more of a team, rather than Iliman being the star of the show, if you like. Hopefully we will get a star of the show next season. I'm not sure who that star will be. Remains
I've
to be
got a
seen.
feeling, but they haven't arrived yet.
He talked about you.
I'm not talking about me. My playing days are sadly over. You don't see too many players in glasses either. But there's going to be some players that are brought in. Don't, when you see these signings that are coming, think that is to replace Iliman Ndiaye, because the players that are going to be coming in have been agreed before. So these are just quality players, we hope, coming in to bolster the Premier League assault. And we will talk more about them when it is right. That the last thing we ever want to do is to impact negatively. So we only ever talk about, and you'll see when the videos are released, videos about players when it's confirmed or when the deal is done. All right. So when there's still negotiations going on, we don't like to be the ones to break that. Other people can do that. It's not going to be my fault.
Does this affect the price of the club? Selling a house without a roof? That made me laugh, that last bit.
Well, there is potential, isn't there? Takeover at the moment. You hear so many rumors. I don't think that this will impact that, purely because the club is in the Premier League and we haven't got to the transfer deadline yet. So I would always say, wait until the transfer deadline slams shut before you judge how the business has been done. Are you guys United fans or Prince Abdullah fans? United fans. And we've called out Prince Abdullah on bad decisions plenty of times before. This one is, as far as I'm concerned, Nick, a player wanting to leave and the club offering him money to stay, and he didn't want it.
Yeah. Simple as that. To be perfectly honest, we do try and spin it in a positive way, because we are trying to spread positivity, because the world of football is quite toxic at times. And
we're from the hashtag Be Kind generation, didn't you know?
I think you're a lot more than I am, to be honest. I try to be a bit more realistic. We try and have a back and a forth. But at the same time, I think that you've got to try and think that I don't think the Printers let us down with signings in the last 2 seasons at all. Morgan Gibbs-White, one of the greatest players we've ever had. Iliman Ndiaye in the same window, being given a new contract to play football, and look at what's happened. He's got us promoted to the Premier League. Last season, Doyle, McAtee. McAtee, I think, was a bit later on in the loan window, but 2 very, very good loans that added to our, I won't say firepower, but McAtee certainly scored a lot of goals at the back end of last season. And Doyle took the place of Ollie Norwood, who I don't think any of us expected that at the start of the season. So the last 2 windows, at least, the Prince has done really, really well. So hopefully carries that on. And we bring in some top quality players, because like Hal said earlier, we know that we will be bringing in reinforcements. But it's just really, really difficult to replace somebody that is as good as Iliman Ndiaye.
Yeah, and the creativity might have to come from multiple players rather than one that you kind of rely on, as Nick was sort of alluding to a little earlier. I mean, I've read some of the comments here, about how do we know it's definitely happened. I mean, just remember, this is the channel that told you Iliman had agreed to sign a contract when he first did. So our track record's pretty good. This is not. Why would we? We don't want to do this video. Right? It's just not what we want to be talking about. I mean, I would love, Luke. There's nothing I'd like more than to wake up tomorrow and Ili has changed his mind, and we all can just go back to a future with Ili in the side.
Do you want to explain?
No, you can.
Well, he told us we could say it. We spoke to Prince Abdullah before we came on this, and he explained that there are going to be. That's where we've got all our information from. He said it. He told us. He said that we'd say that we've spoken to him. So that's who said that we're bringing in a few players. So
and the reason we were speaking to him was to arrange for a Q&A. So we're going to do a Q&A with him. If you've got any questions for Prince Abdullah, put them on our Twitter account. All right. If you haven't got Twitter or X, you could get that, and then you can cancel your account after you've asked the question if you don't want to support it. But that's
or you can put them in the comment section in this video as well. Don't put them in the live stream because we won't see them. Put them in the comments below. Yeah,
and we'll ask them to him. We'll do that this week, and then we'll probably record it this week. We want to get all the questions in advance, and that's purely because, and that was my idea. All right, Prince was happy to do it live, but I said let's do it pre-recorded because you never know who you could get on asking all sorts of things, and one person says something they shouldn't say, and it's kind of detrimental to the whole channel. So if we get them in advance, we can see what he's happy to answer anything. So you can make the questions as controversial as you like. We're just gonna throw them all and just see what happens.
I just want to say, Hal, there's so much negativity about the club selling players, and every club that isn't Man City, Real Madrid are selling clubs. That's just how football works these days. There's no loyalty in football because there's so much money in it. And obviously we can't afford to pay the wages that some of the other big boys. We threw a really, really good contract his way. And we know that it wasn't about the money necessarily, but Sheffield United have not done this because we wanted a quick buck. We've done that in the past. We've seen it happen way before the Prince was involved. And the amount of bids that he's turned down in the past for Sander Berge, Jebbison, the Koulibaly, these sorts of players in the past, because he wants us to have the best possible team and he wants the club to be going in the right direction. And at the end of the day, if we would have given Iliman a really good contract and he would have accepted it and kept us up, his stock would have flown up. So that would have been good for the Prince as well. So it's,
I'll just address this one as well. No. So you guys are going to be asking the questions, right? So we're just going to throw them at him. All right, he's not going to get a chance to scribble down all his notes and choose which ones. We're just going to. They'll all be asked, and you know what? We'll see, because like some of them might be similar. There might be a lot of repetition. So that might be where we say, okay, well, that question's similar to that one. But honestly, I want the harder questions. I want the juicier questions. I want the questions that are going to really make the club have to answer, because we're all sad when we lose a really top player. So ask absolutely anything. I have no problem whatsoever with posing a very, very difficult question to the owner of Sheffield United. So if you want to ask it, Dave, ask it, type it on here, send it on Twitter, and I will put it to him. I have absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. So ask whatever you like.
I think that people who say these things about pre-scripted questions and stuff, please put your questions forward, because if you say something and then you don't back it up, then that's when you don't get your say. We are trying to give the fans their say. We obviously want to put some questions to him as well, because we are massive, massive fans of the club. But we also want to put it to everybody else as well, because if you don't have your say, if you don't get your question in there, then there's no chance of us asking that question unless you get really, really lucky.
Yeah. And also think about in the old days, right? This just never used to happen. This kind of insight with an owner of a club. I think we should probably look, okay, it's a bad day. We're gutted about Ili. But let's use this as an opportunity now. Right. What can we do? What can we ask? What kind of answers do we want? Well, we're going to try and help you get those answers. Yes, please do, Dave. Ask your question. I will pose it. Of that, I promise. I can't promise I'll answer it, but I will ask it.
I don't know if you can promise you'll ask it, to be honest,
All right.
because if we
Okay,
get
what
a
if it's
1,000
just
messages,
if
I
it's a
don't
collection
think
of swear words, I won't answer it. But if it's a sensible question, I will ask it. I know what its name is now. I'm going to look out for it. I'm the one collating them. It'll be fine.
Yeah, you are. You are, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, absolutely devastated, mate. I don't think there's any two ways about it. We are absolutely gutted that we're not going to be starting next season with Iliman Ndiaye. Hopefully, where Hal's doing loads and loads more incoming videos very, very soon, and we see some fantastic talent walking through
So
the
much
door. But I
work.
still think it will be, for the majority, the same transfer model. What do you think, Hal?
Yeah, the kind of players that we're looking to bring in, it's going to be similar to what you've seen in terms of value, in terms of players that will be younger, so they've got so much more that they can give us. There will be perhaps one that will be a bit more money than you perhaps expect that we would know that Sheffield United would normally spend.
I
Yeah,
think this is
that's a good point.
this is hard to take because it's gone back and forth so many times. If Marseille would have just come in, Iliman said he wants to go, and then he went, we'd have had weeks and weeks and weeks to come to terms with it, first and foremost, the fans, but go out there and try and find replacements, plural. Again, we can't replace Iliman. So that is one thing that does hurt. The fact that if Iliman was wanting to go, he should have just gone. He's been very indecisive from what I can see anyway. But it is what it is, and we've just got to move on.
Yeah, but you know what? There's still loan players that can come in as well as permanent signings. The transfer window hasn't slammed shut, and it only ever slams shut. It doesn't close. So let's review the transfer window when it's done. Let's see how we shape up. We've no idea what that first 11 is going to be for Palace. We just have to sit back now and go, right, let's see what the club have got in store for reinforcements.
Absolutely. I think that's... Let us know what you think in the comments. I don't think there's anything more we want to say right now because it still hurts. It does, doesn't it? Like it's when a breakup happens and you're like you can't really kind of think of the right words to say at the time because it is so devastating.
This is a great example of that.
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
really think of the right words.
No, it is devastating. It's heartbreaking. It really is because he wasn't just one of our best players. He was loved by the fans. I am positive that he loves the club and loves the fans, just not as much as his boyhood club Marseille. And
definitely loves Sheffield United. Definitely has adored his time. I think one of the highlight of his career will have been getting us back to the Premier League. There is no question of that. And if you just joined us, we believe this isn't about money. And also, if you heard a figure quoted of like 13 million or whatever, the club got more than that. But when a player's contract is running out, I don't know quite how you put a value on it, but obviously you can't set a fee that's because they could just wait, and just get him for nothing. So you've got to get as much as you can, and it sounds like more than what's being reported. So that it's tiny glimmer of positivity from that.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, we like we said, we're trying to be positive. I think at the same time, even though we know that Illy does knock down tools, that he would never do that. I think if we were kind of around the relegation zone, he's already agreed a contract with Marseille the following season. He's going for nothing. He's not going to want to get injured, is he? That's the thing. We need to think about. We want players that want to be here, and Iliman. He may want to be here, but he wants to be somewhere more. It's as simple as that, really. And yeah, I just want players to be at Bramall Lane who want to play for the football club and will give everything to try and keep us up this season because it's going to be a long old slog.
Thanks everyone for watching. Wish we were doing a very different video. We'll be back with another video about something else soon.